It's Thursday, November the 1st. Lake level a little over 907, about 8 feet low. It's down about 6 inches or so from what it was last week. Water temperature this morning when we put in is about 60 degrees. It warmed up to about 63, 64 time we got off the water. Now the water did cool down a little bit last week, but now it's getting warm again. For the most part, fishing's still pretty tough. I mean, there's still probably one of the most consistent thing is still out there fairly deep on a drop shot on main lake secondary points. And what we did today, I fished the other day, I fished down lake, and that's how we caught a few fish on a spook early. Then we went out and caught them drop shotting 35 to 45 feet deep. Now, you got to catch several fish before you catch a keeper doing that. In a lot of places, you're not catching several fish. The bite's been really light on that. The fish have really been on the move. Now, we went way up the James River today, and once the sun got up, the bait fish are absolutely everywhere. Now, it's only going to be a matter of a week or so. The water cools down a little bit more, that the fish are going to be with the bait. Now, we did catch, one decent fish close to 4 pounds on a topwater, and we caught a couple on a spinnerbait. And what we're keying on there is, main thing is we're looking for the shad. And where the shad seem to be today out there for us on the main river flats. I mean, it was only anywhere from 2 to 8 foot deep, and it was just absolutely loaded with shad everywhere. Now, every once in a while, you'd see some fish busting and blowing the shad out of the water. And what we threw, rattle trap will work. I was throwing a little 1.5. There didn't seem to be very many fish out there with the bait, but that's going to get better. Like I say, the bait's really been on the move coming out of the deep water, and now it's moved to some of the shallow stuff. It's just a matter of time before them fish start showing up around them. I think Sunday we're supposed to get some clouds and stuff. That may trigger it, but I think what's going to trigger it more than anything is just some more consistent cool weather. And also, as that weather gets down, that temperature gets down, and the water temperature, that wigglewort bite will start to happen. When we get down around 55, 58 degrees surface temp, and it's there for a week or so, there's going to be a whole array of things that should start to work. Wigglewort being one, a spinnerbait. It's going to bring more fish that have been in that deeper water, out of that deeper water to the main lake points, the secondary points. It depends on the day where you'll find them. If the wind's blowing, you may have to chase some windy banks. But, for the most part, I've got like 6, 7 rods on the deck. We've kind of been junk fishing, throwing a little bit of everything. Now, we played with the Carolina rig quite a bit today. No, not the Carolina rig, I'm sorry, the Yay rig. Still haven't been getting too much going on that. We didn't catch anything on it today. A few days ago, I caught a few Kentuckies on it. Still not catching the quality of fish that we did last fall, but we're early too as far as the water temperature. So as that water temperature gets down, these fish move out of the deeper water, I think that's going to play a big role. Now, in a lot of these creeks, what we'll do is, like today we found the shad real shallow on the shallow flat. So we were using 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce spinnerbaits, rattle trap, and a square bill. We didn't have much success. I just don't think there was a whole lot of fish up there with them. But if you start finding all this shad out in the centers of the creek, especially if you see them up on the surface, kind of flipping, when the sun gets up, the shad actually come up. This morning, when we started, you could see the bait dead on bottom, 25, 30 foot. As the sun got up and got a little warmer, the bait come up. Now, usually them fish will just be underneath them shad. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll get in the centers of these creeks. Depending on how deep we're fishing, normally what we'd do is take anywhere from a 1/2 ounce to a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait and try to get it below the shad and then just slow roll it. A lot of times there'll be timber in these creeks and you'll be bouncing the spinnerbait off the timber. Now, this is an area that we think the Yay rig should really work well. But, we hadn't had a chance to try it. Conditions haven't got right yet, but I think they're getting there. And usually on the spinnerbait, I'll mix it up, kind of a shad pattern. If I'm in an area that's got a little bit of stain to it, which we was way up in the river today, and actually the further up the river we went, we hit like like a blue-green water, big colored water change. And also it was a big temperature change. It was 10 degrees difference. When we got up into that upper river, you know, water temperature was about 54, 55 degrees. Now, we found the bait and stuff to be more active down lake where the water was a little warmer, but from some of them rains and stuff we've had, that water that's come in, like say the upper river arms are really cooling down. And, you know, that cools down a few more degrees, the upper river arms, the jerkbait will start to come into play as well. Now, something I'm going to talk about today is Lew's is just introduced a national campaign on their new BB1 that they've introduced. I'm going to go and get mine tomorrow, but from what I understand, it's just an awesome reel. And they've got it in a 5:1, a 6:4:1, and a 7:1 ratio. And it's going to be an excellent reel for cranking. This is the reel that, like David Fritz has been, the old BB1 he used for years and years. It's going to have a little bit deeper spool, so it will hold probably, I think, 160 yards of line of 12-pound line. It's got a deeper spool. And if any of you have used the new Lew's reels, you're just so impressed with the way they cast and the durability. Well, everybody's claiming that this reel, you're going to be able to cast it at least 20 yards further than your regular Lew's that already, I believe, cast phenomenal anyways. And, you know, some of this, if you don't believe me, you go to YouTube, and there's several little clips on there with David Fritz fishing this new reel, comparing it to some of the other reels. So it's a pretty awesome reel. They're going to retail, I think, $159. Any place that carries Lew's products should, if they don't already have them in stock, will have in the next week or so. Here in Springfield, you should be able to go buy Fin and Feather. They should have some. If not, Sportsman Factory Outlet will have some. You get a chance, you need to go in and check them out. They've got a 6-pin centrifugal brake, you know, internal system. And I know anybody that's ever fished with me and has used some of the Lew's reels, the next time I see them, they've got one or two. They're just an awesome reel, holding up really well and priced well too. You won't be dissatisfied with them. So if you get a chance, check them out. But until next week, you know, I mean, overall the fishing, the weights have still been way down. Now there's OMTT has got their championship this weekend, so I'm kind of curious to see. It's a 2-day event with some of the best fishermen in the area. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of weights. You know, if the weather turns and gets nasty Sunday, you know, you might see the weights really jump up. You know, we're right on the verge of getting into the really good fall fishing. Usually mid-November up to Christmas is some of our best fishing here. And I think we're getting real close to it. So, till next week, good luck, good fishing.